Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater. Today is July 5th, 2018, and there's a lot to get to today. There's a fair amount going on in Hollywood, not only movies, but entertainment, not only from a production standpoint, but also a cultural one. And I thought we would touch base on a couple of those stories today. As you can see, we have the Alien Queen up here, and we'll be talking about that here in a few minutes. But first up, I want to touch on this one. This dropped a couple days ago. Christopher McQuarrie doesn't want Star Wars or superhero films. He doesn't want to direct them. I think he's a good director, but this isn't one that really kind of like, caught me the wrong way. It didn't sour me on anything. I understand. Now, it says here that rumors have been circulating that Mission Impossible Fallout director Christopher McQuarrie might be in line to helm Man of Steel 2, but it appears that's all it will ever amount to, as the director took to Twitter to voice his frustrations with what he claims are toxic fan bases. And of course, this is coming off of the current intergalactic civil war. I think this is the best way to describe it, between Star Wars fans, and you have those who dislike The Last Jedi, dislike Solo, dislike the direction the company is going. I fall into several elements of that camp, not all of it though. And then you've got those that are vehemently defending it, and they're trying to turn it into this harassment, misogyny campaign to drive people like Kelly Marie Tran and Ryan Johnson off of Twitter and go as far as to, make direct threats or comments towards Kathleen Kennedy. I've been very critical against Kathleen Kennedy, but at no point in time have I ever agreed with or called for any kind of commentary about, her as a person, just her ability to lead, or I should say in this case, the lack thereof. Now it goes on to say that this is in direct response to fan fallout from Star Wars The Last Jedi, who had been, and I love this here, particularly cruel to writer-director Ryan Johnson and actress Kelly Marie Tran, both of whom were on the receiving end for most of the negative comments. Ryan, I get, he pushed back in a number of ways when people had valid criticism. He was very snarky about it. He was kind of a dick about it. And Kelly Marie Tran deserved nothing, period, at all. She did nothing to deserve what happened to her. Sorry, Grace Randolph, you're still wrong on that one. But McQuarrie reached in, says, after he got lumped into a conversation with Ryan Johnson, and he says here, "My friend, after 5 minutes of this, I don't know why you're still on Twitter. I would have loved to make Star Wars films someday. I'm cured." Going on to say here, when someone asks him, any superhero film you'd be interested in making, or did the X-Men and Wolverine experience sour you on making those types of movies? He says here, nah, after tonight, I think I'm good. So basically, the guy who wrote The Usual Suspects, which is a fantastic film, the guy who wrote and directed The Way of the Gun, which has Ryan Phillippe yell at Sarah Silverman, shut that cunt up before I go over there and fuck start her head, is now a little, I don't know if I want to I'm not too sure if I want to, go into this particular world. Dude, come on, man. It's a small group of people that are going to be vocal. It's Twitter. All right. There's like 10 million Americans that use Twitter or something like that. Like not even 400 million active accounts. It's been dwindling in its relevance. Ultimately, that's just where it's at, and you can turn it off and walk away. If you want to direct a Star Wars movie, I'd like to see you direct a Star Wars movie. I think at this point, the only way that would happen is if you got Tom Cruise to come on, because that's who's kind of been bankrolling you lately, and that's not a bad thing. You guys work very well together. Jack Reacher, Mission Impossible 5, and this new one look pretty damn good. So I'm totally on board to see what you guys come up with next. But I did pitch this the other night to some friends. I was all like, what if McQuarrie, what if you brought in Tom Cruise to play Thrawn? That would be interesting, because that's going to eventually happen, right? They're going to eventually find a way to bring Thrawn into the mix. But that being said, McQuarrie just needs to slow his roll a little bit. People on Twitter are douchebags. There's a mute function for a reason. Or my favorite thing is just turn your phone off and walk away. That's what I do a fair amount of the time, because I got videos to make and shit to do, just that he's got movies to make and shit to do. But speaking of a controversy, this one cracks me up here. This popped up a couple days ago, and just the response to it online has been insane. Scarlett Johansson reteams with Ghost in the Shell director for true life massage parlor film RUB TUG. RUB TUG is going to be the name of this movie, and at no point will we ever probably see Scarlett Johansson give a RUB TUG. So I do want to soften the blow for all of you out there that are going to be like, but I want to see it. It's not going to happen here. But the controversy, though, is that Scarlett Johansson is reteaming with Rupert Sanders, who directed her in Ghost in the Shell, for RUB TUG, a drama about a real-life transgender massage parlor owner. Now, this is a story about Jean Marie Gill, a person who was assigned female at birth and who succeeded in Pittsburgh's 1970s and 1980s massage parlor and prostitution business by assuming the identity of a man, Dante Tex Gill. Now, looking into a bit more about Dante Gill, or Texas Gill's life, he transitioned. He wanted to be a man. He wore man's clothes. He looked like a man, acted like a man, and was very much successful in the mob-protected massage and prostitution business in Pittsburgh. I understand why people are upset about this. They're looking at the Ghost in the Shell controversy about Scarlett Johansson playing the main character in that one. However, the people that were upset about that, I don't think saw the movie. I don't think saw it, because they kind of explain it in a very subtle fashion. But for those in the cheap seats, here's basically what happened. She was a Japanese girl who was then put into the shell. The shell was being manufactured by a British company. The British company obviously manufactured it after, the Brits. That's why she's white. It has nothing to do with Japanese culture. It has nothing to do with whitewashing it. It has everything to do with the fact that the parent company is an evil British guy who made a white skinned robot, cyborg, and put this thing through. That's basically what it was, and that's why she ends up tracking down, eventually through the memories, finds her mother and has, and has a conversation with her. And it made sense in that context. But the thing is, when it comes to the outrage, nobody cares. Nobody wants to deal with it. Nobody wants to sit there objectively and look at it and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't be as upset about this. Maybe I should watch the film. Ghost in the Shell is actually a pretty solid flick. And I'm curious to see what this one does as well. Rupert Sanders, who did Snow White and the Huntsman, and Ghost in the Shell, is more of a CG effects heavy, kind of like action adventure storyteller. I don't quite know what you're going to get in a movie about this. So who knows? But at the same time, someone like Scarlett Johansson is looking for Oscar caliber material. And when she was pushed on this, there was the response that came back from her saying, I direct you to like Jared Leto and Jeffrey Tambor and Frances McDormand, all of whom have gone on to do and be rewarded with accolades for playing transgender people. So that was her kind of clap back on that one, and I completely understand that, and I completely go with that, to be honest with you. I think people are trying to make this out to be something bigger than it is, simply because it's Scarlett Johansson. Here's how you handle this one. You either go see it or you don't go see it. But when you want to see these kind of movies get made, these kind of stories be told, unfortunately, you need a star to go with it. And that is also why Scarlett Johansson made it in there. But for her, this is her Oscar bait. This is her get me a Best Actress Academy Award. And she's at the point in her career where she's probably realizing that roles outside of Marvel, are maybe becoming a little bit fewer and far between. Even though she's doing the Black Widow solo movie and she's going to be in Avengers 4, who knows where it goes after that. But she's probably at the point, because she's in her 30s now, and there seems to be this peak that a lot of actresses and even actors will hit around their mid-30s. If they're not doing something specifically, then they kind of get cast aside for many years, only to come back in their mid to late 40s to play the mother character or the grandmother character, and then to find a later in life resurgence in those roles, which could be something that we're starting to see Scarlett Johansson hit the peak of her A-list status before migrating over. And if she can keep it going with Oscars and Golden Globes and whatever, then it's going to prolong her career a little bit longer. This is what a lot of people in Hollywood end up doing, and it's going to be interesting to watch nonetheless. So speaking of things that are interesting to watch, Netflix, man, who doesn't love Netflix, right? Luke Cage season 2, hell yeah. I'm still got to start Glow, but this one is going to, I think, cause a lot of problems, where it says Netflix is testing new pricier Ultra subscription. So I already paid the $13 a month for the 4K and HDR streams, so I don't quite know what they're going to do with this one here. It says that Netflix is reportedly testing out a new Ultra subscription tier that would up the monthly price even higher than the company's current $14 a month premium option. According to Tutto Android, the new plan would offer up 4 simultaneous 4K streams at once, which eagle-eyed Netflix users will note is already offered on the cheaper premium plan. That's the thing. I already pay for that. I pay $13 a month. I guess I'm grandfathered in, for right now at least. So I don't quite understand what's the point of this Ultra one. Is it just for new consumers? Because that's probably what it is, because as 4K TVs become less and less expensive, right? Like I bought last year or 2 years ago, I bought a TCL 40-inch 1080p Roku TV, which I love. And then last year, they had the 49-inch 4K version for like $350, and that was a good deal. So I bought that TV, and I love that TV. But now I'm seeing like the 65-inch 4K, and it's a little bit nicer of an image, and I'm waiting for that to drop in price, and also to get my girlfriend to be okay with me buying a 65-inch TV that I probably don't need. So I can see that as being a reason. As more and more people get into the 4K game, as more and more people start to do that, it's going to be this kind of this surgence. There's going to be a surge of interest. And additionally on that one too, people who buy 4K TVs, you cannot watch in decent quality Blu-rays on those TVs without having a 4K DVD player, 4K Blu-ray player. So you have to go and upgrade that as well. I learned that the hard way with trying to watch Wonder Woman on my 4K TV on my PlayStation 4. It just looked like shit. So I was very surprised at that, to be honest with you. So I think that's where things are going. They realize that this is going to be where things are at. So upping it by a few bucks extra a month for certain people are going to end up, getting those new customers. And as we've seen with Luke Cage season 2 and other new shows that they've brought out, I think not Luke Cage season 2. It was 13 Reasons Why season 2 saw them get a massive increase in subscribers. So Netflix is already knowing what's going to bring in more people. And as Disney and Warner get ready to roll out their products in this space, like DC Universe is going to have like only a couple seasons of the Batman animated series, but that's going to be like 1080p or HD, up-resed, like as they start rolling out that competition, Netflix might start feeling a bit of that heat. And then this is how they're going to counter it, by charging more for new consumers. So unfortunately, that's kind of what we have to look forward to now. Hopefully that will change here. They won't go too crazy with it, but eventually, let's be fair. Eventually these services are going to cost a lot more money. I think we all can agree that that's going to be the case here. So this one's interesting to me because it kind of came out of nowhere, and apparently Child's Play is being remade from POLOROID director. And I haven't seen POLOROID. I don't know if it's any good. I have no idea. Again, I think that's a PG-13 campy ass horror movie. Again, no idea if it's any good or not. But it says here that MGM is fast tracking the project, and it says, the remaking Child's Play, the 1980s horror film centering on a toy doll possessed by the soul of a serial killer, with It producers David Katzenberg and Seth Grahame-Smith. I really hope Seth Grahame-Smith goes nowhere near the screenplay, because he's a terrible writer. It says here that Lars Klevberg is a Norwegian filmmaker behind the horror movie Polaroid. He's in the director's chair, and they're trying to start shooting this in Vancouver in September. Tyler Burton Smith, who has written video games as well as Kung Fury 2, which is now in production, penned the screenplay. So that's pretty cool, because Kung Fury is fantastic in terms of how it played the 80s tropes, and I'm not too sure how Kung Fury 2, the feature film version, is going to be, but I think it's going to be all right, and I want to see what's going to happen with it. So that's not the only thing with this, and I don't think we need a remake of Child's Play, but we do need better Child's Play movies. The first two, I think, are fantastic. I really do love the first two. And the third one was kind of dumb. Bride of Chucky was really dumb. Now we're on like Cult of Chucky, which is what is leading into this next piece of Child's Play news. Child's Play remake will not feature Brad Dourif. However, the Child's Play TV series will. Brad Dourif is going to be voicing Chucky, or going to be involved somehow. It makes sense given that it's basically his property at this point, in a Child's Play TV series. It says here that the Child's Play TV series Chucky creator Don Mancini, who like Dourif has remained with the franchise ever since its inception, will be in charge of the Child's Play TV series. Mancini and franchise producer David Kirshner told Bloody Disgusting that MGM reached out and asked if they would like to executive produce credit on the remake, but they both declined. Instead, the duo planned to forge ahead with the in-canon Child's Play TV series and make more movie sequels. So even MGM is launching a remake, the original Child's Play franchise will continue to move on. And they go on to say here that we're still working on the series and also plan to continue the film franchise with Universal. We intend to stay true to the universe we created. And that's good. Actually, I give them credit for sticking with this larger Child's Play cinematic universe sort of thing. Apparently it has enough of a fan following to warrant the multiple sequels, as well as a TV series. Who knows where it's going to end up going? I would say Netflix, maybe talk to Netflix, or maybe Hulu, because they're looking for content as well. And who knows where it's going to go, but apparently it's set up for it at the end of Cult of Chucky. This is going to be a spoiler here. Says that film ended with Chucky jumping out of his famous good guy doll body and into a new human body, the body of Nika Pierce, played by Brad Dourif's daughter, Fiona Dourif. And Mancini here says, we want to definitely signal that we're going darker than ever before. It's going to be very creepy. But to be fair, the Child's Play franchise hasn't been creepy in a long time. The first couple were creepy. The first movie is still frightening. I saw it in theaters a couple of years ago, and it was still scary in theaters. And the other ones are just like not very good at all. And so, I mean, they're fun, but they're stupid fun. So I don't want to see it move away from its camp factor. Going darker may not be the best course of action for Chucky, especially with this, what I'm assuming is going to be a straightforward remake that's coming out of MGM. So if MGM is going to be making their own thing, audiences might go to this new one and say, oh, that's really good, and then not want to be confused with the Child's Play TV show that's going to be considered in canon with the rest of the, I believe, 6 films at this point. I don't know. It's getting confusing, and maybe they're doing this to head off MGM to make MGM's property bad, not get the attention. It's like, oh, who wants to see a remake when they're still continuing the original franchise? Which would, if anything, be a decent argument for why you should avoid the remake and then just go and watch the new TV series. And speaking of the TV series, going back to the thumbnail for the episode, apparently, and this is a rumor, an Alien TV series may be in development. Yeah, this is where we are, folks. This is where we are. When Hollywood has run out of ideas, let's take everything and move it down to television, right? So it says here that Alien is trying to adapt itself to a television series. This past April, it was confirmed to Omega Underground through 2 sources that a series set in the Alien universe was being considered for places such as FX, with Netflix and Hulu ruled out at the time of the original rumor. That rumor lied dormant until yesterday, when the grapevine was abuzz, saying that an announcement could be coming as the 40th anniversary for the franchise approaches. And that's crazy to think that this year is 40th anniversary of Alien. That blows my damn mind that it's been that long. I can't believe that. Now it says here that a television series would be the most cost-effective way to bring the series back into the limelight without the high budget and high risk towards reward factors of another movie. If it doesn't end up on FX or one of the popular streaming services, Fox would be a good place for the show to launch, considering the network's past in rebooting older franchises through its shows. Yeah, but you don't want an Alien show on Fox Broadcasting. You don't. You really, really, really don't. Yeah, they brought back Exorcist, but that's gone now. They rebooted Lethal Weapon, and that's being picked up again for a 3rd season, minus the guy who's playing Riggs. Riggs, yeah. And so who knows on this one? I would argue that this would be good for FX or FXX, if not Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. But the problem with it is, though, is as Fox gets ready to get sold over to Disney, it's going to put this particular type of stuff in jeopardy. I think that the more hardcore shows that they offer, it's possible that they're going to see the chopping block, because Disney's not going to want to have that underneath its label, even though it's going to be under an entirely different distribution platform or other distribution company. you know, people are still going to know ultimately that it's Disney, and they may not want the negative flag. I mean, there was a big thing in the 90s when Miramax was putting out some of the content it put out, and like it was angering religious groups, and they were attacking Disney as being the parent company of Miramax. If Bob Iger can like smooth everything over, then it could work. But after Bob Iger, who knows? And that's going to leave a lot of things that are more gritty really, really, really up in the air, and like you know, like Deadpool and stuff, and especially the Alien franchise. So at this point, we're just going to have to wait and see. But that pretty much wraps up today's episode. There was, again, a lot to go through there. When it rains, it pours in regards to movie news. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. I really want to know what you guys have to say about these things. Do you think that the Scarlett Johansson controversy is worth it? Do you think that Christopher McQuarrie should just nut up and direct Man of Steel too? I want Matthew Vaughn personally. What about Netflix upping its prices? Is that going to stop you from being a customer? If you haven't gone in yet, would that prevent you from becoming a customer? What about Child's Play? Are you excited for the movie or the TV show, or do you not care about either? And then Alien, could it work as a TV series? And also, in your mind, how could it work as a TV series? These are things I'm curious to know. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and check back often for more movie news and content from me. These longer form shows I do like doing because I can just rapid fire through them. There will still be individual videos like the RT recaps, as well as Star Wars content is going to be segmented off in its own thing. So, I mean, don't really expect much of that here. And we'll definitely talk again, I'm pretty sure tomorrow. And if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out my Whatever podcast, where is more of an unfiltered take on current events and what's going on with my own life. The link for that will be in the video description. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.